award-winning podcast, ParaReality.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for listening tonight. My name is Sandman, and I will be your guide through this strange realm of ghosts, cryptids, UFOs, aliens, conspiracy theories, and other unsolved mysteries that I like to call ParaReality. Well, loyal listeners, I've got a really great treat in store for you tonight. I've been working for months behind the scenes to get these guests on the podcast, and today's finally the day. In just a few short minutes, I'll have on the phone all the way from the UK, Sam and Carl from the Parasearch Radio Show. Sam and Carl are UK-based paranormal investigators with over 25 years of paranormal investigation experience between the two of them. Man, they've invested some of the UK's most haunted locations and have even been co-hosts of the popular Parasearch Radio podcast for the last 6 years, where they share their paranormal experiences, talk to other paranormal investigators, and help to promote paranormal unity. So on tonight's journey into the realm of parareality, Sam and Carl are going to tell us how they got started in all this. They're going to give us some insights on some of their more popular paranormal investigations and give some advice to those of you who may want to become a paranormal investigator but don't know how. So to learn more, you'll have to tune in, and find out. However, before we begin tonight's journey, let me tell you how you can contact me here at the podcast, because as you know, there are a few different ways you can do it, and here they are. First of all, you can email me. My email address is sandman@parareality.com. That's sandman@parareality.com. Second, you can find me on Facebook by going to the ParaReality page on Facebook and just following me there. Third, you can also follow me on Twitter. My username is ParaRealRadio. That's ParaRealRadio. And lastly, you can always call the show at 615-692-1170. That number again is area code 615, then dial 692-1170, and you can leave me a message on the studio line. Now, I'm in the studio a lot working on the podcast, so I might just answer the phone. You never know. But let me tell you this, just in case I don't and you leave a message, if you decide to do that, just by leaving me the message, you are giving me permission to play your comment back on the show. So, if you don't want that to happen, you'll need to let me know somewhere in your message. So, unless you specifically say you don't want that played back on the air, the chances are pretty high that it will get played back on the air. Now, I'm always looking for interesting stories for the podcast, so if you have a story that you'd like to get on the show, you can email me, sandman@parareality.com, or you can call up the voicemail and leave me a message. It's 615-692-1170. If you're telling me the message or you're leaving the message and you run out of time, call back and just pick up where you left off. And that number again to call is 615-692-1170. Email the show, sandman@parareality.com, or follow me on Facebook on the ParaReality page, or at ParaReal Radio on Twitter. So those are all the ways you can get in touch with me here on the show. Now, before I introduce my guest, I got to do a fan mail because I've been doing that a lot here lately. And, man, this mail comes from Ricardo, courtesy of YouTube. I'm not going to give out a last name, but his name is Ricardo, and he's referring to the Solomon Island Giants episode that I did with part-time co-host Eric. And Ricardo writes, "I'm coming to see them and make alliance with them. I don't care if they eat me. This will happen August 2020." And the August 2020 is in all caps. Man, I don't know what to say exactly to you, Ricardo, except for good luck if you happen to make it there, especially now with all this coronavirus COVID-19 stuff going on. So, number one, if you can make it through all that, good luck. Number two, if you survive, contact me again because I'd love to hear your story. So that is from Ricardo, referring to our Solomon Giants episode that I did back several months ago. And now for the time that you've all been waiting for. I know I have. let me introduce you to Sam and Carl of Parasearch Radio. Guys, welcome to ParaReality.
Hey.
How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. Surviving the lockdown over here. Bored out of my skull.
Same here. Yeah, it's a tough one, but strange world we live in, and it's sort of changing the way you live your life at the moment. But we're all holding in.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I wanted to. Actually, the very first question that I wanted to ask the two of you was, how is this affecting what you do over there and your podcast and how are you handling it?
It's very difficult at the moment. Obviously, we're not on a total lockdown in the UK, but we're told we're not supposed to go out, only to get essential shopping, 1 hour of exercise a day. If you can work from home, etc. So it's kind of strange. So there's no investigating going on. We're still, both myself and Sam are still working in the background, preparing for podcasts and the radio show we do on PSH Radio. So yeah, we're still working behind the scenes. We're still doing research, but we're just not physically out in the field. Stay in, keep safe, and that's all you can do.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we're relegated to here in the States. It's just shelter in place and only go out to the store and have your food delivered if you can't cook.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I said, I'm really wondering how all of this rest is going to affect all of these paranormal hotspots that are just investigated to death, and maybe it'll give them a chance to recharge and hopefully produce better evidence when people do start going to investigate them again.
Yeah. I'm both myself and Sam. We're just keen to see what's going to happen when we can. But I think you're right. I think Sam had a chat about this the other day. I think with what's going on in the world, I think it will be giving these venues time to recharge, reboot. I think the activity might be different. I think it's either going to be flat out where you've been and they're curious of what's been going on, or it's going to ramp it up a little bit and go all in.
Yep. I hope that we see these places get a rest and a recharge, and maybe we'll get some new evidence out of them. After all, like I said, it's people are, because of the popularity of the paranormal and all these shows, these reality shows that investigate them over and over and over again. I kind of have thought like, man, it's just got to be affecting the way that you gather evidence and affecting the spirits that are there. Maybe they get tired of answering the same questions over and over again. Who knows? Maybe this will give them a chance to relax and take a vacation, so to speak.
Yeah. I just also hope on a financial, because some of the locations, particularly places in America, that they survive and rely on groups going in to investigate. And I just hope that when we do come out the other end, that these places have been able to survive without the income coming in, which I'm hoping they will, because we have several over in the UK which probably 80% of their income is coming from people going in to investigate.
Yeah, I didn't happen to think about that when I was when we were discussing that, but yeah, that's also a factor, because you have some of these places are just great locations to go into, but if they close their doors, then how are we going to get in there?
Yeah, absolutely. And this I can think of probably 3 or 4 just off the top of my head in the UK that rely on the money from the paranormal industry to survive, because that's all they do.
Yeah.
And now nobody's going. Obviously, they've still got upkeep, they've still got bills to pay, etc. So it's going to be. I'm hoping that there's going to be a glint at the end of the tunnel, and when we do come out of it, these venues have survived, because it would be a real shame and a real loss to the industry to lose some of these locations.
It sure would. It sure would. Now, let's kind of switch gears here for a second, and I want to talk to you guys about how did the two of you get into paranormal investigations? What was the spark?
Mine was watching paranormal TV shows. I know most of them are for entertainment purposes only, but after seeing a paranormal TV show, I was like, oh, I want to go out and see, if it's the same on TV. And it just gives me that of, because some of these locations, if I didn't paranormal investigate, we'd probably never visit them or see them.
Mm-hmm. And do you want to say what show it was that kind of got you started?
Most Haunted.
Say that again. I didn't get that.
Most Haunted.
Oh, Most Haunted. Oh, yeah. I've seen a few episodes of that show. I think they had it run over here in the States for a short period of time, but it's been, God, years and years ago. Isn't that the one that has Derek Acora on it, or it used to?
Used to have Derek on it. Yeah.
I think that was when I saw it, was when Derek was the resident psychic on the show.
Yeah.
So what about you, Carl? How did you get started in all this?
Well, I've always been brought up with a close-knit family, and at like holidays, Christmas time, Easter, we used to, because we moved from the north of England down to the south east of England. So every Christmas and holidays, we used to go between where the family's houses were. And my gran, God bless her, she used to babysit while obviously the adults went out and did what everybody does at holiday time. And she used to tell us ghost stories. So I've always sort of been interested in that. I've been brought up on scary stories and urban myths and legends and stuff like that. And then when we initially moved down to the Kent, while our house was being built, we stayed in this old country hotel in Kent.
Yeah.
And me and my brother had one room, and my dad and mum had the other room, and we had like a connecting door and everything like that. And one night, me and my brother were watching TV, and out of the corner of our eyes, we see the door handle of the room that leads out into the corridor slowly go down, slowly go up.
Uh-oh.
I'm the curious one out of me and my older brother. So I'm straight at the door, and I'm looking at the door handle, and he did it again, and he did it a third time. And then as soon as it did it the third time, I grabbed the handle and opened the door. I looked one way, nobody. I looked the other way, and I saw a figure wandering around the corner. So we close the door, we bang on the connecting door, we tell my mum and dad. The next morning when we went down for breakfast, my dad was asking whether there was anybody in fancy dress, because the way I described what I saw was a gentleman in fancy dress wearing a funny hat and carrying a sword.
Wow.
And then it then got sort of related to us from the manager, and he showed an article, and the particular floor that we're on, there's a report of seeing a cavalier from the English Civil War.
Wow. Because
the hotel back in its day had connection to the English Civil War, and it was a cavalier stronghold. And the manager took my dad and myself up and showed us the end of the corridor. And what I thought was a corridor that just turned round and into another corridor was actually a dead end.
Oh.
So the figure disappeared around the corner. So that sort of really piqued my interest, and I've always sort of been interested in it. And then I got into it by going on a public event when there was an investigation at my local pub. And then it sort of carried on from there. Every time I went, I had more questions than answers. Yeah. And I just got into it more, and then got into the kit side of it. And then, been doing it for just over 20 years now.
Wow. And how old were you when you had your first encounter?
I was about 6 or 7.
Oh, so yeah, pretty young. I was, I was probably about that age when I had my first encounter, and it did two things to me. First of all, it scared the hell out of me, and second of all, it made me, wonder, well, what the hell was that? And then now you're on this quest to try to find out what it is, and here it is all these years later, and you're still looking for answers.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, like I said, I wasn't scared when I saw this figure. The figure to me was completely solid. It wasn't the typical Hollywood ghost. It wasn't like sort of rattling chains in a sheet or anything like that. Scary. It was a solid figure. So I wasn't scared, but I got questions about it. And as I said, every time I've gone on to an investigation, I've got questions, and I get more questions than I get answers, and that just keeps spurring me on. And same with Sam. We then sort of met up when she interviewed me on the radio, and we sort of then became hosts, and it sort of carried on from there.
And what do you think is the best evidence that you have ever captured is?
I've got some interesting photos. Got one photo. I was field testing some different still camera IR lights to basically project on a video camera, so you can take stills through a video camera. And I was in some woods in Kent called Pluckley, allegedly the most haunted village in the UK.
Oh. And
we were in Pluckley Woods. We were in what they call the Screaming Woods, but it's actually the Daring Woods. And we were at a crossroads, which they call Highwayman's Crossroads, because back in the day it was where people used to go and walk through to go between Pluckley and Daring. And I was messing around and we were taking photos. There was 3 of us there, not including me, and I was taking photos of the 3 that were standing probably 5-10 yards away from me. And the IR light that I was testing then shone up probably no more than 10 feet.
Wow.
So anything further than 10 feet, the IR light didn't sort of illuminate. And when I've taken the photos, when we were looking back at them, there's a figure of a pregnant woman lit up in the photo. And this was the next day, and I was like, that's got to be somebody being picked up by the IR light. So we go back to the woods, go back to the crossroads, because we knew exactly where we were.
Yeah.
Recreated it. They stood there and we worked out that this figure was probably 35 to 40 yards away from us. And it would have been physically impossible for the IR light I was using to light somebody up.
Yeah, I was thinking 10 feet is probably a pretty good distance.
Yeah, exactly. But we worked it out 25, 30 yards.
Wow.
And you can clearly see it's a pregnant lady. She's got a hand on her back. She's sort of leaning back. We then reviewed our EVP recorders, and we picked up a couple of EVPs in the same area.
Mm-hmm.
A woman's voice, Class A, saying, "It's cold, the men are in the village."
Sound like she was lonely.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's probably visual-wise, but I've had personal experiences, like Sam's had personal experiences as well.
Sam, what are some of your personal experiences?
One which I can't put my finger on, and I'm still waiting to go back to this location, and it's not happened yet, you know. But a while back, I used to take photos on a photography camera, because obviously you can have a lot of issues using your mobile phone. And we were investigating an old firehouse/fire engine depot type location.
Yeah.
And you know, as you do, I was just snapping photos, and I thought, oh, nothing of it. I've captured nothing. And then I got home, plugged my photography camera into my laptop, got the photos up, blew them up, and the only I can describe it as, I captured an old fireman in in an old uniform, and you know, I was proper gutted because they say take 2 photos after each other, and I didn't. Right. So that's what I'm trying to do, is get back to the location, because then I can try and recreate it, see if, you know, it was reflection on anything, if it was something, you know.
Yeah. It's always good to try to debunk, for lack of a better word, your evidence. Because if you can't debunk it, then there's pretty much, I guess, only one explanation left for it, and that would be something unexplainable, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Sam, keeping up with you here for just a second, you said that you were watching Most Haunted, and that got you interested in the paranormal. So how did you, once you had that spark, that interest, how did you go about like doing your first investigation? Did you find a group to join, or did you just go out and start doing it by yourself? How did you develop all this?
Well, like Carl, in my local area where I used to live, this person I used to work with was holding a charity ghost hunt to the public. So I was like, oh yeah, you know, I've got to go, and that's how I got into it. And you know, it wasn't the best event, but it got me, like Carl said earlier, it gives you more questions than answers when you go to these things. So.
Now, do you get tired of that, of always having more questions than answers? Do you ever get frustrated with that?
Not really, because I just enjoy doing the research, and because I think it'd be a bit boring in this field if we all had got the answers. You know, what is the point in going out and doing what we're doing if we know every single answer to the paranormal field?
That's a good answer. Yeah, that was a good answer. Yeah, I agree, because if we find out everything there is to know, then there's no point to continue on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
totally.
So what would be like some of your favorite places that the two of you have investigated?
I'll let Sam go first on this one.
What? Do you want to do it separately, or?
Yeah. Fine. Go. You can do it. You can, however you want to do it.
Carl's been a lot more places than me. So.
Yeah, that's you know, however you want to do it. But yeah, tell me let's just go with separate. Let's what's your personal favorite, Sam?
I don't really have favourites, but it depends on like experiences and evidence we get. Like one which is I like is Morecambe Winter Gardens, which was like an old it was like a theatre where you go and see theatre productions and things like that. That place is just like, you know, dead old school Victorian. They've still got it how it used to be. What else? Can't fit anywhere else. This is the thing. And I'd like Warwick Castle. Obviously, we've only investigated Warwick Castle a few times, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've investigated Warwick about 4 or 5 times, but
You've liked it a few times, so it's like 5.
like I said, I've been doing it a little bit longer in various different places. So, but you've done all the ones like Sage.
Yeah, another one like I love, which is it's called N0 Army Camp, and it was an old army camp, and it's just, I like my history, you know, and going to places with different hauntings and different history.
Yeah, I like history as well, and I always love to know the history behind the place that I'm going to, you know, and it helps to get a big picture of everything.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Carl? What's your favorite location?
Well, this is just it's a tough one because it changes week by week.
Yeah.
To be truthfully honest, but I'll just give you a couple of locations. There's a place called Drakelow Tunnels in the UK, which is 27,850 meters of underground tunnels.
So small place.
Yeah, small place. Small place. That was completely non-visible from the air. It was built by the Rover car company to build ammunition and lorries for the war effort.
Okay.
So that's one of the locations. I've been lucky enough to investigate both this side of the pond and your side of the pond. So the Hawthorne Hotel in Salem was unbelievable. Such an amazing hotel. And we stayed there. We were staying there I actually stayed there for 10 days. Wow. And we investigated most evenings. And they gave us free run. They let us in areas. Brilliant. There's a place in the UK which sadly is no more, but it was called the Explosion Museum down in Gosport near Portsmouth, which was where the ammunition for the Battle of Waterloo and Battle of Trafalgar for the cannons, it was all prepared there. So it's got a lot of history. But my all-time favourite, because of a personal experience, is another fort, which is local to me, which is like 10 minutes up the road, which is a place called Fort Horsted. It just has something that keeps drawing me back. A personal attachment. Had one of my scariest moments, and that place, there's just something about it. I feel weird if I haven't been. I feel when I walk through the gates over the drawbridge, I feel at home, and it's just a location which never fails to amaze me from what the activity I've seen, witnessed, and experienced.
Do you think the reason you have such strong feelings about that place is because there's some sort of something that could be attached to you that's drawing you there?
We were the first. I was the one with the team. I was at the time one of the first team. Well, the first team to actually investigate it. I'd been researching the forts because it was built in Napoleonic times to be. It was one of 5 forts that they built to protect Chatham Historical Dockyard, the military dockyard. But by the time they finished building it, the ammunition was flying further, and all 5 forts became obsolete.
Okay.
But it was built by using French prisoners of war, and there is reports of deaths, etc. And I found the location. I just happened to phone them up, and I went, "This is going to sound like a very strange question. Would you let us in on a Friday or a Saturday night to look for ghosts?" And the bloke, there was a pause, and he went, "You want to do what?" And once you explain to him, Paul, luckily I was talking to, who now has become a very good friend, Paul, So I explained what we did. He went, so you just need access to the fort. You don't need to do anything, etc., etc. I said, that's it. And he went, yeah, fine. I can charge you money for it. I went, yep, fine. And we investigated it, and it's, no matter what time of day, it's pitch darkness in there.
Yeah.
It's completely, you can't even see your hand in front of your face.
That is dark.
And we did an investigation where I was physically, all I can describe it as being punched in the stomach by two hands, nearly knocked me against the wall, and that kind of scared me. And then, obviously, through that, the Ghost Adventurers came out and did a episode thought as well to celebrate London 2012 Olympics. So, and then it just progressed from there. But there's something that is attached, something that knows me, and particular rooms, particular areas, I experience things.
Have you ever tried to have a psychic or a medium figure out who or what is attached to you?
It's two soldiers. One's, which is weird. This is the weird part of it. Several different mediums have all picked up on this thing. Two soldiers, one English, one French. And as soon as I walk through the doors or the gate over the drawbridge, they're by my side. They're sort of like escorting me.
Okay.
Never, when I've gone home, it's never sort of followed or anything like that. But when I'm in the fort, when I'm walking around the fort, day or night, they literally do not leave my side. And they have this name called Conch. And when the first medium picked up on it and they were saying, I don't know what this means, but they're calling you Conch. Didn't know what it was, didn't have a clue, did research and found out that back in World War I and World War II, if you were a conscientious objector, there was a slang word and it was called Conch, and they were calling me Conch.
Okay.
When I did some looking through the family history, etc., we found out on my dad's side that one of my distant relatives on my dad's side during World War I was a lay preacher, and he, because of how he felt, he was a conscientious objector.
Makes sense.
We think the attachment has happened on that, and that's why they see me. I don't know where, but it's apart from the scary being punched, I've never really had anything nasty.
Yeah.
The place scares me. I did take a year out of the field after that particular experience.
Mm-hmm.
But so the ties there. So some of the mediums are there, so that it feels like they're escorting you, like you're a prisoner, or they're just checking on what you're doing.
Kind of sounds like you're their bud, is what it sounds to me like.
Yeah. So, but there are some strange ones. I think in military places such as forts or barracks or whatever, I seem to have the same sort of activity.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, you've mentioned that you have come over here to the States and investigated. Where all have you been here? And Sam, have you had a chance to come with him as well?
Yeah, the only location that I've been obviously to be able to investigate with Carl was the haunted Tuna Park Cemetery next to the Clone Motel in Nevada. Okay.
Did you get anything? Catch any good evidence?
We did, yeah. We did. It was during the day. We were with some friends, and they took us on a bit of a paranormal road trip, and we went through. We walked. We saw the Goldfield. Goldfield High School, various at the Tona Par, the Miss Par Hotel.
Oh yeah.
And then we did the Clown. Turned up at the Clown Motel. Had a little bit of a guided tour by the owner of the Clown Motel, and they said, "Oh, do you want to go and do a daytime investigation in the graveyard?" And we said, yeah, we jumped at it.
Heck yeah.
And we did a spirit box session, and we were getting some responses, and crystal clear. We asked how many people were there, or how many people were standing around, and it gave the exact number. We got a woman's voice, and crystal clear EVPs. Like, it was intelligent responses to us. Both questions that Sam was asking, I was out asking. Our friends Jonathan and Cece, they were asking questions, and we were getting intelligent responses back. And then this more stronger voice came through, and you hear crystal clear telling us to leave.
Ooh.
Telling us to go. So we respected their wishes, because we did say that if you didn't want us here, we would go. So we closed it down, and we left. As we were getting into the car, I was sort of looking at the graveyard, and I saw, and we were the only ones in there.
Mm-hmm.
The cemetery is in the middle of nowhere. No phone signal, nothing. And I saw a big guy wearing a cowboy hat walking through the graveyard. I get out of the car, I walk over there, matter of about 15, 20 feet. Not a single person in the graveyard.
He just disappeared.
Just disappeared behind a tombstone. A big tombstone just disappeared, and that was it.
Was this a solid apparition or kind of transparent? Or
solid-ish, I would say.
Okay.
It wasn't like completely solid. Couldn't see his legs because of the angle from where I was sat in the car to where he was walking. But yeah, cowboy hat, shirt, side profile of a gentleman walking.
Wow. That's too bad you couldn't get a picture of that. That's like, that's like almost like a once in a lifetime thing.
Happens. You're breaking down, and you're taking a break. You turn off the cameras, you turn off the EVP recorder, and bang, you always get something. Always the same.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that all these TV shows make it look like it's easy. You just set up your equipment and you just sit there and wait, or you ask a few questions and you're going to get a response. But it never really works out like that in real life, does it?
No. As they always say, 4 EVPs, full-body apparition by the first ad break.
Yeah, exactly. It makes for good television.
I've done the TV side of it. Sam's done a little bit of it as well. I've done Ghost Adventures, and I've done
YouTube.
TV. But then, Paranormal Voyager and stuff like that. And I've done Ghost Adventures. I've done World's Scariest Places.
I think it was World's
World's Scariest Places and places like that. You can see that how it works by seeing it the other side of the camera and what they then put on the TV.
Yeah, because I'm sure that there's a lot more setup and a lot more that goes on behind the scenes than just, we're going to come in and just set up a few pieces of equipment real quick and do a one-night investigation. I would imagine that some of these things are more than one night, but it's just edited down.
No, yeah. Normally I think I will state this for your listeners and anybody else and everything like that. What I saw on Ghost Adventures, from my point of view, nothing was set up, nothing was staged. What you saw on the episode actually happened in the time frame it did. Because if I'd have seen anything hinky, anything a little bit off, I wouldn't have taken part. So from my point of view, I know a lot of people, obviously, they have the whole debate about TV shows. The
Right.
ones I've seen taken part, they're obviously it's for television. You could be there for 2 or 3 days, and they make it look like you've been there one night or whatever. But Ghost Adventures, the way I was there, it was one investigation on one night. I think we were the one that our group was one of the first people Zach and the team asked to take part in the lockdown, so we investigated with them.
That's great.
So yeah, what I saw, the EVPs, the noises, everything that happened when I was there, I can completely put my hand on my heart. Nothing was. It was as it appeared on the show.
Well, that's great to hear you say that, because I've always, well, I'm not going to say always. Let me take that back. I've not always been a fan of Zach Bagans. I thought when he first started out with the television show, I thought it was one of the dumbest things I'd ever seen. But you could see over the course of the years how he progressed into a true investigator, and I really do think that he's genuine in his beliefs and what happens to him. I think he's a little bit of a drama queen, however, but it's good to hear.
I would agree. He's very passionate.
Yes, passionate. That's a good word.
Yeah, he's very, very passionate, and he's very passionate about the show. He's very passionate about how things are done in a certain way, how it's shot in a certain way, and I like that. I like that. But yes, TV's TV. Sometimes, yes, he does come across the way most people think he is.
Yeah.
And he's from the experiences I've had with him. I spent 2 days with the team, with a few of the other team members that were shooting on the same episode. Couldn't have been a nicer guy. Aaron is an absolute sweetheart. Obviously, Nick at the time, he was still on part of the team, right. And then there was Billy. Jay wasn't on the team at that particular moment. I think when they went back to the States, Nick left and Jay joined and stuff like that. So,
yeah, I would be interested to know the real story behind what happened with Zach and Nick and why Nick left.
Yeah, I've got some ideas in, as you say, at the start, conspiracies and stuff like that. I personally think it was network pressure. He got a program on a different network, and obviously he couldn't work on both. So.
Maybe so. Never know. There's only 2 people, I guess, who know the real story, and they haven't, as far as I know, haven't said anything.
Yeah, it would just be contradiction. It'd be just theories and submissions that we provide. Yeah.
So
how many people would know would be literally the guys.
Yeah. So have you had the chance to come to the American South here and investigate any of our haunted locations? Specifically, I'm thinking about the Waverly Hills TB Sanatorium.
No. Hopefully that's going to be next April.
That's
we're coming over. We're coming over for Salem Con again.
Okay.
In April. And we're coming over for that, and then we're also going to be doing a little bit of a road trip, and one of the places that has been mentioned is Waverly Hills. The other place was Gettysburg as well. So,
well, I'll tell you, Waverly Hills is right up the road from me, about maybe an hour and a half. We need to keep in touch, because if you really do go to investigate that place, I would love to join you.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch. We're just firing stuff around at the moment.
Yeah.
As you know, everybody has bucket lists.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be 5 or 6 of us, as well as people that are going to be driving us around from that live in the States.
Yeah.
So we've been tossing around a number of locations.
Yeah. Well,
we want to go here, we want to go there, we want to go to Trans Alley, or just so many different locations.
Yeah. I have investigated. Oh yeah. I have investigated Waverly Hills twice, and it both times never disappoints. So I highly recommend it. And I've also been to Gettysburg. I didn't really do an investigation of Gettysburg, but I have been there. I did kind of like it was more of a vacation I was going on, and I didn't go there specifically to investigate it, but I did a little mini investigation while I was there. I didn't catch anything at Gettysburg, but I wanted to really bad, and I just felt like there was something that I was missing. So I'm quite sure if I'd had some more equipment with me that I could have caught something there. But yeah, definitely, if you have the opportunity to do Waverly Hills, you should take advantage of it. It is God, it is such a huge place, but it does not disappoint.
Yeah, it's always a location that I've wanted to go to. And I know Sam wants to go as well, and hopefully, if it all works out, we'll do Salem Con, and then we'll also then go on to do a little bit of a road trip in that area, so we can go to various different places. So because we have some local friends that live not too far away, and they said they can drive us around to some of these locations. It's going to be good, and that's next April.
All right. Well, definitely let's stay in touch, because if I have the opportunity to meet up with you there, I would love to join you and get a chance to meet you too, and face to face instead of just over a microphone for a change.
No. Yeah, Sam's got your details, so we'll keep in touch
for sure.
But I'm back in the States. Sam's not. I'm in. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I'm going to Michigan, Paracon.
Oh, okay.
So I'll be there. So yeah, I try to get out to the States as much as I can, because I've got so many friends that I've met over the years doing what I do, and getting to know people. So there's always somebody near a location that will take you there. So
and if you ever want to come to the great city of Nashville, there's a few haunted locations here that I could take you to, and maybe you could get a chance to check those out too.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. We'll keep, like I said, we'll keep in touch, and we'll touch base, and we'll sort something out when we're next over. Yeah,
sounds like a plan. So before we go, guys, I want to ask you two questions here. The first one has to do with what I think has become a popular trend in paranormal investigating, and that's demonic possession. It seems like especially every reality show is on this thing with demonic possession. The Ghost Adventure guys seems to be their main focus for the last couple of years, and now you've got this show called Portals to Hell, and there's even the Ghost Nation crew has delved into demonic possession and stuff. Do you think that's just some sort of a trend that's going around, or if not, why would you think that this is just all of a sudden such a hot topic? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know, because me personally, I've not been witness to any demonic things. Like, I've been witness to negative energies, but I've not been witnessed anything demonic. So I can't really say if it's true, real or not. So
I think if you're a nasty person in life, you're going to be a nasty person in the spirit world.
Right.
Demonic is, I think, as you say, it gets bandied around quite a lot. Mm-hmm. Not just in the paranormal shows, in YouTube shows, Facebook Lives, etc., etc. I believe that it is possible, demonic. I believe that there are cases where I've spoken to people firsthand, where they've done cases, famous cases. The haunting in Connecticut, Carmen Reed, and speaking to her firsthand, face to face, she tells the story of the possession that was based around that led to the film. And yeah, I believe every word that she told me. So I believe it is possible, but I do agree that hashtag it's a demon gets bandied around quite a lot in paranormal shows, because I think it drags in viewers. You just look at the recent spike in demonic films like The Nun, all the stories about Ed Warren and Lorraine Warren. Name of the film, The Conjuring, and all the different films, Annabelle. And the thing that really annoyed me about the film when they had the Annabelle is Annabelle the doll is a raggedy doll. It's not that scary looking plastic evil incarnated doll that they portray in the film. I just wish they'd have taken a little bit more, because I think that fuels people's belief that these things are going to come out and eat you at night or whatever. But it's Hollywood. It's a film. I just wish some of them, they sort of stuck a little bit more to the truth than the facts about Annabelle and what Annabelle actually is. And sweet, innocent looking doll, to be truthfully honest. Not like the thing that is portrayed in the film. So,
well, when it comes to Hollywood, never let something like the truth interfere with your ability to make profits, you know?
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah, I will have to say I've been doing this for a while, and I'll get into phases where I don't care to watch any, paranormal TV, and then I'll get back into it and I want to watch a whole bunch of shows and stuff. But I've seen over the years, this trend of all of a sudden everything is demonic. It's demon this and demon that. Like you said, hashtag it's a demon. And I just have a hard time swallowing that. I just really think that that's the latest trend in the paranormal, and if you want to get viewers or get better ratings or whatever, you got to go with it's a demon, just to get your...
It's well, if it was on YouTube and stuff like that, people would say it's clickbait. So
yeah,
if you demon or most haunted is this, possessed item, this, that, whatever.
Right.
Yes, I believe it does happen. I don't believe it happens as much as some of the shows portray. But at the end of the day, sometimes they could be looking at a very angry, very sick serial murderer or killer, his warped mind and everything like that, that could portray itself. And all that sort of things like that, really.
But that doesn't mean it's a demon, for sure.
No.
Yeah. And another question I wanted to ask you, and this is, I think, more for Sam than anybody than you, Carl. But so you said the two of you met when Sam interviewed you for the show. Sam, how did you get into podcasting or radio? Or, what made you get into that? What was the draw for that?
Well, like a lot of people now, and it's my main show I stick to, I started watching Ghost Adventures, and I started the radio discussing every week episodes of Ghost Adventures, and that's obviously how I met Carl, because Carl had been on Fort Horsted episodes, so then I interviewed him basically, and that's how it happened.
And you've been doing that for 6 years now?
Yeah, it's 6 years next month.
And tell everybody the name of your podcast.
Yeah, our podcast is called PSH Radio.
And
every Thursday.
Every Thursday. We're back on air next Thursday. Is our first show. We've had a little bit of a break to obviously make sure that we've got guests sorted and all that sort of stuff. So we're back next Thursday. It's live. It's for an hour. You can listen. There's an interactive chat room, so you can go in the chat room. You can ask questions to the guests. I just love it because Sam interviewed me, and I can talk for England. And she then just said, "Oh, do you want to do your own show?" And I did my own show for a little bit, and I just used the friends that I'd sort of made over the time. And then Sam said, "Well, do you want to be my co-host on the Thursday night show?" So I moved over to that. I also used to do shows with other people as well.
Yeah.
But the main show, the one I now concentrate 100% on is PSH Radio with Sam. And we've had a little bit of a break, just sorting stuff out.
Yeah. But
we're back next Thursday.
And where do people go to listen to your show?
The Facebook. The live shows will be going to Spreaker, so if you just look in Google PSH Radio, the Spreaker link will come up. But if you don't listen live, you can listen back, and it'll be going straight onto his YouTube channel as well, which is PSH Radio. And obviously we have a Facebook page, which is PSH Radio, and a Twitter, which is PSH Radio.
And if not, you can always contact us individually. So obviously Sam's got all of the social media. I've got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. So you can find us all. We're pretty easy to find. Just find us. And if you've got any questions or whatever, just drop us a message, drop us an email or whatever.
So it's
and we'll be happy to help.
So it's PSH Radio on Facebook and on Twitter, right?
Yeah, and Facebook.
Okay. So if anyone out there is listening to the show and you got any questions you'd like to ask Sam and Carl, just get in touch with them on their Facebook page, PSH Radio, Facebook, or at PSH Radio on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yep. Didn't screw that up, did I?
Nope.
No.
Perfect. So my last question that I have for the two of you before we wrap things up is what would be your advice to someone who they're interested in the paranormal, they want to do some investigating, but they don't know how to get involved. They don't know what to do. What would be your best advice to give someone like that?
I think me personally, I would say social media is a very good starting place because you can always find local teams. Do your research, do your due diligence. Don't just go with the first team that you find or whatever. Check out reviews.
Don't get loads of tech.
Yeah, and do all that sort of stuff. And getting that. Another way of doing it is obviously a lot of people started going through the spiritualist church. Don't think there's any silly questions. There's no silly questions in this field. If you have, there's no experts in this field either. You'll learn that. There'll be people that stand it out, say they're an expert. There's no experts in this field. I'm been doing it over 20 years. I'm constantly learning. I can learn something from somebody that's been in the field 50 years. I can learn something from somebody that's been in it 5 minutes. Yeah. You just got to learn. Read. That's very important. Do a lot of reading. You've got to look about the history of the paranormal. Look at case files, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Just do your due diligence. It depends on where you want to go. If you want to just go on public events, so you don't want any ties and you just want to go there and experience what I call a weekend warrior, you can do that. But if you suddenly get the passion, don't go out and buy all the latest equipment. Don't go out and buy a black T-shirt and a black baseball hat and an aluminium case and think you're a Ghostbuster. That's not going to work.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
Read, ask questions. That's very, very important in my eyes, isn't it, Sam?
Yeah.
Keep asking questions, because if you find somebody, that's why I always say, I'm happy to answer questions no matter what, and there's no silly questions. So if you've got a question, ask it. If you want advice, ask for it. If you've got an idea, don't be afraid to step up and actually say it. Because, like we say, we might not be thinking something, and then somebody says, well, have you tried thinking about doing it this way? And you go, oh, hang on, yeah. So constantly learn. Don't think you're closed off. Don't think it's easy to set up a paranormal team, and because it's not. But do the work, do the research, and just have fun at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's it. I like that. Yeah, definitely. Too many people think that you can do exactly what you said, which is go out and buy, some black pants, a black T-shirt, and a black hat, and get a bunch of equipment, and here I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because equipment side, which is my main area. There's probably 95% of the equipment you can buy will have a false positive. So you've got to learn your false positive. You've got to learn. The biggest thing I always say about people with equipment, you've got to know how to change the batteries in the dark without putting a torch on.
Yeah.
Because there are people I know that don't even know how to change batteries in the dark, and on goes the big flashlight at the moment that you don't want any light, whatever. Don't go out and buy all the latest equipment. If you are technical minded, research it, ask questions about it. Don't go out and buy like XCAM, SLS or whatever like that. $1,400, $1,500, $2,000 as your first bit of equipment. Build up to it.
Yeah.
See if you want to see if you actually like doing it, if you're into the equipment side, because the equipment side, it can be a little bit different to being the front man, being the one that goes out there, because you have to take a step back and look at the environment. Choose your equipment wisely for the location you're doing. Don't just think you're going to spend 2 hours setting up equipment, every single room, flashy light, sensors, and then 2 hours breaking it down. But then you've got 8 hours of investigation, and then you've got to review 8 hours. Cameras here, cameras there, EVP recorders all over the place, because you've got to review it.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I'm more for what we call the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS. Yeah. I'm really have always been more about the personal experience than I have really more about capturing anything on digital, whether it's video or digital cam or EVPs or anything like that. Now, I've got a few good things, but usually when I go investigate, I have just very minimal equipment, and I'm more so there for personal experience. Which there's
personal experience, I think, is a fundamental backbone of this industry, because unless if you're a non-believer, no matter what people will show you, tell you, you aren't going to believe.
Oh, for sure.
They could have a spirit in a jar, buzzing around, and they still wouldn't believe it.
Exactly.
So, but also on the same hand, don't be one of those people who believe in it 100%. So anything happens is paranormal.
No.
Always look at it and think, okay, we're looking for that small percentage.
Yep.
What's the logical thing of, say, you're in a wooden building at night, it's cooling down, it's creaking. That's what that noise could be. So always look for the logical answer first, and then if you can't come up with a logical answer, that's when you're left with something which is unknown, and that's what we're here for, and that's what we do. Exactly,
and that is the perfect piece of advice, I think, is throughout all that. And I certainly appreciate the two of you being on the show. I'd really love to have you guys back on again. Man, I've been trying to get you on for several months, and it's just the way the schedules are working out. I think last year I was on PSH Radio, and I've been wanting to return the favor for the longest time, because that's what we do, right? We support each other in the paranormal community, And I appreciate the two of you being on the show here on ParaReality. It's great to talk to regular, everyday people just like me, who just have an interest and have had these experiences. And it was really such an enjoyable talk with you guys. I could do 2 or 3 more hours, but we're already over time now, and I know you guys have got things that we're looking at a 6-hour time difference, so. You got other things to do on your Saturday evening as this is being recorded here. But so
it's been a pleasure. I love both myself and Sam. Sam will agree as well. She'll say that, but just chatting to like-minded people is what I get into this. What I enjoy out of it, doing these sort of things or interviewing people, because everybody has the same. Nobody's going to judge you. Nobody's going to. It's nice to talk to like-minded people.
It sure is.
Support them.
It sure
is.
I
think that's the positives.
So just to remind everybody, if you have some follow-up questions for Sam or for Carl, and you want to get in touch with them, you can just search for them on Facebook. It's PSH Radio on Facebook, or PSH Radio on Twitter if you're on the Twitterverse. PSH Radio can be heard on Spreaker every Thursday. Starting next week is when you're going to get the podcast back up and running, but I know you've got plenty of replays going on right now. So if you guys want to check now there's depending on where you're at, I know I'm Central Time Zone, and that's a 6-hour difference from where you are. So everybody, if you want to listen to the show live, just keep in mind that there's a 6-hour time difference. And what time UK do you come on?
9 p.m.
9 p.m. So there's at least depending on your area of the U.S., is depending on the time difference. But here in Central, it's a 6-hour time difference. So you subtract 6 hours from 9 p.m., and that's in the middle of the morning, or excuse me, the middle of the afternoon for me. So you got to keep that in mind if you want to listen to those shows live. But they're always on the replay. Once again, you can get in touch with them on Facebook at PSH Radio, or follow them on Twitter at PSH Radio on Twitter as well. Guys, I'm going to put you on hold for a second. I'm going to end the podcast, and we'll come back and talk for a second, all right?
Not a problem.
All right. Hey, Sam and Carl from PSH Radio, thank the both of you very much for coming here on ParaReality, and we're definitely going to get you back on the show again. All right, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of ParaReality. Let me know what your thoughts and ideas about it are by sending me an email. That's sandman@parareality.com, or get in touch with me through my social media accounts. That's ParaReality on Facebook or ParaReal Radio on Twitter. You can also call the studio line at 615-1170. Once again, that number is area code 615-692-1170. And don't forget to visit ParaReality.com often to keep up on the latest paranormal news from all around the world. That content is updated daily. You can also shop in the ParaReality Radio store and watch some of the terrible videos that I've made for the show over the years. And you can actually follow my social media accounts from my homepage right at the bottom of ParaReality.com. Social media is where you can find out all about what's happening behind the scenes of the podcast, because that's where I post a lot of interesting articles on show topics and other interesting stuff, such as my travels and investigations, stuff like that. ParaReality.com is really your one-stop shopping for everything that's happening in the ParaReality world. Now, the show ParaReality can be heard on your favorite podcast platform. The podcast is available on Spreaker, Stitcher, Google Podcast, Player FM, Deezer, CastBox, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Podcast Addict, Apple Podcast, and YouTube, just to name a handful. Just search for ParaReality. If you have a smart speaker, you can listen there too. All you got to do is have any of the aforementioned podcast skills on your device and just say, play the ParaReality podcast. And I do now have a Patreon account for the podcast, and I'd love it if you'd sign up to be a patron. There are 3 different tiers of support, and all are extremely affordable, $5 a month or less. Each level offers exclusive content along with the ability to help create podcast episodes and even the chance to be a guest on the podcast or maybe even a co-host. To learn more, head on over to patreon.com and look for ParaReality. 100% from Patreon goes back into producing this podcast, and I would really appreciate your support so I can keep providing you with quality content. Everyone, the next episode of ParaReality will be available on Friday, May 15th, 2020 at 8 o'clock p.m. U.S. Central Time, so make sure you tune in, and find out. Everyone, I hope that this podcast opens up your mind to new ways of thinking, expands your consciousness, and produces a change in the way you see the world. If you wish to change, you must lift the veil of ignorance that has been cast over your eyes. Only then will you see the true power of the universe. I hope you have a wonderful evening and a wonderful weekend, and I will see you again in a couple of weeks.
If you wish to change, you must first lift the veil of ignorance that has been cast over your eyes. Only then will you see the true power of the universe.